Have you ever recorded the perfect vocal take just to have it ruined by your neighbor upstairs in the apartment building you live in that's stomping around making all this noise? Or maybe your dog decided to bark at exactly the wrong moment? Yeah, that really sucks. Wouldn't it be amazing if we had a plugin or something that could fix those problems without changing the tone or the quality of that vocal performance? Well, I think Waves might have just done it. And what's even more impressive is I think they made one of the best vocal cleaning tools of all time, and it has like one knob. That's it. It just got released today, and they call this plugin Clarity VX. So this plugin is way different than how most noise and vocal cleaning tools currently work. Waves Clarity uses neural networks to go in and figure out when the audio is actually a human voice and when it's noise and stuff that shouldn't be in the audio. It can then separate the two, so you're left with almost a completely intact, high-fidelity vocal, and you can get rid of almost any of these other artifacts. It's amazing. I threw basically everything I had at it, and you'll see. This is a plugin I wish I had when I lived in an apartment or when I was living with my noisy family. And I think this is something that goes beyond music creators. This tool would be amazing for anybody who makes video content or anything involving a microphone in a not perfect studio environment. And Waves tells us that it can work in real time. So you can instantiate the plugin if you're doing a field recording or if you're doing an interview for a podcast or something. Or in my case, when I'm mixing music and I have music literally playing back at me, I can filter out a lot of that bleed from the speakers getting into the microphone. It's amazing. So in this video today, I'm going to show you all the features of this plugin, which really there aren't many. It's literally one knob and a few different parameters we can change. And also how versatile this plugin is and how well it can clean up audio regardless of the different environments that I take it into. And I'll also share my thoughts on the limitations of this plugin so you can decide if it's right for you. But it's on sale right now for 29 bucks, so it's probably something you should just grab it just to have it. Hey, what's going on? My name is Bobby Balo, and I'm the mixing and mastering engineer at Raytown Productions. And this channel is dedicated to helping you make better sounding music without needing to spend a ton of money on expensive gear and plugins. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me today. Be sure to hit that subscribe button because I drop new videos every single week. It's going to help you level up the quality of your music. And as a thank you for spending your time with me today, I know you're interested in plugins. Well, I want to share with you a guide I put together of my favorite free mixing and mastering plugins. These are plugins I use every single day when I'm mixing and mastering music professionally. It includes free compressors, limiters, clippers. There's cool creative plugins like distortion and modulation effects. I even have drum samples and amp sims in this thing. It's awesome. I think you're going to find it very, very valuable. So if that sounds interesting to you, check out the description for a link to download my favorite free mixing and mastering plugins. Okay, let's get into this plugin because it is amazing. So here is Waves Clarity VX. It is so simple. I love everything about this plugin. You have a big knob here, and all this does is you turn it right to reduce ambience. It literally tells you at the bottom right here. So the more you turn it up, you can imagine this as a dry wet knob. 100% means it's at maximum attenuation of anything it detects as ambience. Okay, and it works for a lot of things, as we'll see here in a second. You get to choose from two neural networks. There's Broad 1 and Broad 2. Again, they have all the stuff that you need to know right at the bottom. Broad 2 basically is best used if you have something terrible happen. So if your neighbor's stomping their feet around and you just got that good take, or your dog starts barking, probably want to go to Broad 2. Broad 1 is good for just general noise reduction. If you have like a noisy computer in your studio or something like that, or buzzing, this does a really nice job, and it retains a little bit more fidelity in the vocals than Broad 2. But honestly, both of these algorithms are incredible. What's interesting about this plugin is it not only works for mono signals, but also if you have a stereo track. So we'll get into this in a second, but all the test files I have, I literally recorded on my cell phone. So there's a stereo microphone on that, and we can independently analyze the left and right channels for weird ambient type sounds or things that we don't want in our audio. Okay, so we're not just stuck in mono. It can intelligently shift the algorithm both left and right channels and pull that stuff out. But something you should be aware of is that if you do choose to analyze both left and right side, you have to choose the analysis mode, which is called double. And like you'd imagine, it's going to take double the CPU or a little bit more CPU, okay? So this last parameter is a width control. And so you're going to output either a mono file or a full stereophonic file if you're at 100% here. What I find is that sometimes if you have a stereo source with a bunch of different weird artifacts or noises that's jumping around between left and right signals, sometimes it helps the algorithm a little bit if you make it a little bit more mono and cleans it up a little bit more transparently than if you leave this wide open stereo. You might have seen that they have a reset button on this plugin right here. And the reason they have that is because they're using neural networks, right? It's learning as it's getting the audio data. So it gets better and better. So sometimes if you have two very different sounding voices or there's a weird abrupt change suddenly, it'll get slightly confused if the voice was a human voice or if it was some weird ambient sound. And in those cases, what Waves recommends we do is just automate this reset button being hit just before that event happens. So you find the best spot where there's probably a little bit of silence in between the dialogue or the vocal performance, hit the reset button, and that just helps the plugin make a better decision when it gets that tricky spot in the audio. And honestly, that's a very rare thing, and that's something that I've never had to do when I've experimented with this plugin so far. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And that's it. That is the whole plugin, which is why I love this thing. So to test this plugin, I literally recorded myself in a bunch of noisy environments. And the easiest way to do this was literally just to bring my cell phone with me and record video. So I'm actually going to pull all those video files into my video editing software, but we're going to use Clarity to try to clean up the ambience to showcase how well this can clean up vocals. It's amazing. Okay, so first up, I'm talking with both of my dogs when they're playing tug-of-war with each other, and they're growling and barking, and I'm going to show you how well this works. I'm just going to turn it all the way up so you can hear what it sounds like. I'm going to keep the analysis on double just because it is a stereo file, but I'm going to mono it just so that it's easier to hear. So these are my dogs, and they're growling and doing all sorts of stuff. And we're going to see if we can get rid of all of the growling and the jingling from the collars and everything using Waves Clarity. So I'm just going to keep on talking while they battle it out here, and we'll see if we can get rid of all the grumbling. All right, so that was with Clarity. I'm going to dial this back, and I'm going to replay that, and you will not believe how much of the growling and stuff that it took out, especially the jingling of the collars. It just blows my mind. So grumbling, oh, you don't like that. While they battle it out here, and we'll see if we can get rid of all the grumbling. Oh, you don't like that, huh? No, poor dog. Pretty amazing, right? It is remarkable. Like, it can take human voice and totally isolate it from a dog growling and barking and all that, even though it's like in the same vocal range. It's wild. All right, here's my laundry room, and this is my dryer, and I'll just move this back and forth just so you can hear what it does to the audio. So here's a dryer, and you know, it has a nice little hum to it, but sometimes I record stuff and the dryer will make some loud noises sometimes, and you know, it's that constant droning. So here is the width knob turned to 100%. So this is now a stereo file, but listen how much it cleans up even a stereo source. And background stuff that, you know, a lot of people don't want in their audio, especially if they're like, need to record something for an audiobook, and then all of a sudden you start the dryer and now all the takes are ruined or you can't record anymore. So let's see what Waves Clarity can. I mean, it's amazing. Like, it literally pulled out all of the hum sound. Like I said, it's one of these plugins that you use it one time and you're like, what is this? What kind of black magic is in this plugin? That's not it though. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. We got more examples I want to show you. All right, so here's my Roomba.
Waves Clarity versus the Roomba. I'm
going to bypass this.
Can it remove the sound of the Roomba? I don't know. I'm pretty skeptical.
How crazy is that?
I don't know, because Roombas are just noisy. They're always banging into stuff. So, like, I'm really curious because the sound will keep changing, right? And I know personally I've had to redo takes filming YouTube videos because the stupid Roomba comes slamming into the studio like a drunk roommate. And so if it can get rid of all this sound, I'm going to be really excited.
I don't have words for how incredible that is. You can't do that using traditional noise reduction algorithms. Like, it doesn't ever sound that good. So I have two more examples I want to show you. Here's me outside with cars going by, the wind's blowing, and I'm literally walking on leaves. And let's hear how well it takes all of that out. So I'm going to start with it on, and then I'm going to bypass it so you can hear how much it's helping. So I'm outside, and I want to see if it can take out, like, my footsteps walking through crunchy leaves. Because I just, you know, sometimes that's something people care about. And there's also an oncoming car, so I'm curious to see if it'll take that out too. But I don't know, we're gonna find out. Stick with me, because I'm gonna keep on talking as this guy goes by and see if it takes it out. But we'll find out. And it's also kind of weird talking to yourself and walking around the neighborhood. I 100% agree it's weird walking around and talking to yourself. But isn't that crazy? That's so insane to me. Like, how does it do it? The robots are going to take over the world. So it's like worst case scenario. Like, you got a Roomba in there and it's banging around, and the vocalist can't track well if they don't have a fan blowing on them for some reason. So I literally put all those together, and I wanted to see if this could clean it up. And let me show you. I'm just going to turn this knob back and forth so you can hear.
How does clarity do if you have a big old fan going? So I have this box fan on max speed right now as I'm talking to my phone. And if I had hair, like, it'd be blowing in the wind. Like, it's pushing out a lot of air. Yeah. And I also have a Roomba going in the background, which is now stuck on another fan. So it's pretty obnoxious in this room right now. And you can hear my voice is already all screwed up from the fan. So yeah.
It just blows my mind. Blows my mind. Got one more for you. This is just sound playing out of my speakers at me while I'm talking and holding my cell phone, just to see if it can get rid of music out of a recorded audio file. Okay, and this is great for if you're a home studio producer and you're working with a vocalist that doesn't really track well with headphones on, and they want to hear themselves and be more in the moment. So let's see how it held up playing music back while I was talking into my phone. Of vocals that's being played back at you. So the volume is pretty loud in the studio right now, but I have music that's just kind of blasted into my phone, kind of like if you were to do a YouTube tutorial, right? So sometimes you don't wear headphones and, you know, you just want to talk into a microphone and hear the music. Well, maybe Clarity could solve that problem for us, but we'll see. You can hear in this example, there are some limitations to this plugin, right? Especially with the artifacts that you start hearing the low mid-range. But what's surprising to me is that the top end air and the fidelity aspect of the vocal doesn't seem to really be affected too much. Yeah, there is some softening of the transients, and you can certainly take more time to adjust which algorithm you use and dial in just the right amount of the ambience reduction. And if you take the time to dial it in just right, it's going to be so much better than it was before. And if that isn't enough control for you for some reason, or you want even more, Waves has the Pro version of Clarity VX that has a lot more controls in power. So I also have a video on this. It'll be posted right up here in this card, so check that out if you want to see what else Waves can do when it comes to a noise reduction technology, because this is like the ultimate post-production plugin, and this thing has way more features, way more capability. Definitely go and check that out. So what do you think of Waves' new plugin, Clarity VX? Is this a game changer or what? And how would you use it? Would you use this to clean up a noisy podcast, or maybe get rid of the barking from your neighbor's dog in your last vocal take? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. For me personally, I'm just completely blown away by this thing, and I personally think this is a game changer. And for right now, Waves has this available for sale for $29. Like, this is a complete no-brainer. I have a link to this plugin in the description so you can check that out. And while you're in there, don't forget to download my favorite free mixing and mastering plugins, and that'll give you a few extra tools to help you be creative on your next project. If you found this video exciting or helpful, be sure to share it with some friends. Let them know about these new tools that are out that helps us clean up our audio. This is a game changer for anybody that doesn't have a professional recording studio or maybe is limited and stuck in a slightly noisy environment. I really think people are going to be able to make some professional sounding music and podcasts and fix post-production problems using this tool. And it's $29. So, I mean, it should be accessible to most people. This is a really exciting time, and I can't wait to see what Waves does with this technology in the future. With that, I want to thank you so much for your time and attention today, and I hope to see you in another video.